I think we're going live. Okay, I'm here. Hopefully you guys are here. Oh, I see. Okay, all sorts of comments just popped in. Alarm is set. Okay, these are from before. I'm not going to get started until we get some more people added in. Oh, hello, Joyce. How are you? Kathleen from Trinidad. Oh, you're here again? Oh, in the nice tropical Trinidad. Chris thinks you're stalking me online. Well, yeah. That's a wonderful thing about Facebook. You know, it's not like you're actually following me around. That would be kind of scary, but yeah, Facebook. Oh, Sandy, glad you can make it. Victoria, excellent. I will have to admit, this week, I feel like I'm flinging myself out into cyberspace on a regular basis because I did a live one on Monday, but I had done one on Friday, then before, then Monday, then now Wednesday. And I'm just trying to balance out a schedule. I can't do 2 a week. I'll never get anything else done because this is just like a little bit too crazy for me. But okay, Mary Gail is here. Excellent. Ginger, hi there. Oh, Joe Rita. Oh, excellent. Love seeing all your work on the Stitch Artist fans. Robin, hello. How are you? Gigi from Algonquin, Illinois, and Lynn from Lynn. I think you're the ones wondering if aren't you supposed? I thought there was a Lynn that wasn't going to be here because it is Ash Wednesday, isn't it? I think it's Ash Wednesday today. I don't know. Sandy, you love these and you're ready from willing to pay for it. Honest. I know. And the funny thing is, I have a class. I have been working on this class since September of last year. And I keep getting sidetracked with other things, other jobs and whatnot. So I think I'm finally getting into routine and hopefully I'll have an online class and then I'll be able to get actually paid for doing this type of stuff. Because right now I do this because it's fun. So we'll see. It is on my list of things to do. Renee, you found, a good Renee. You're brand new. So yes, you found me. I don't know if that's good or bad, but you found me. Sheila, hi Lisa. You're from Columbus, Ohio. Okay, Susan from Philadelphia. Didn't make it to church tonight. Well, we'll think. Not even going to go any further with that. Patty from West Virginia. Celeste, Ash Wednesday is at the beginning of Lent. Right. I mean, I am. You know, let's stick to the embroidery. Yeah. Yeah, Ash Wednesday is the beginning of Lent. Oh, that's right. All right. Sandy can never go to a class. Good luck in the stream. You get the online question a lot. Yes, I know I get the online question a lot, Eric. I'm glad you can check in. Hopefully you're feeling better. Eric's he's preparing to go to the DAX show in, Chicago. At the same time, I'm going to be at the Everything Embroidery Market in Kentucky. So he's in Chicago and I'm in Kentucky. And Eric, the DAX is a commercial show. So anyone who's in the Chicago area looking to even just experience a commercial trade show, because it's a completely different animal than our home embroidery shows. Completely different animal. But you get to talk to all the people on the trade floor, see the commercial machines, talk to the sign printers and embroiderers and see the real fancy stuff. So he's going to be there. He has a class on gradients and I think patch making, whatnot that's there. But you can't miss him. He's got this nice Embrilliance lanyard wearing, and he'll be at the Chicago show. I, on the other hand, am going to be in Kentucky at the Owensboro show. So let me just check in. Love the online class idea. I know. Sherry from Toronto. Good to see you, Sherry. And from Rock Hill, South Carolina, Sharon. Glad you could join us. Yes, I get the question about the online classes a lot. But before I forget, because I actually wrote notes today on the back of a paper, I have a couple things. I'll skip to item number 3 since I'm talking about it. The Everything Embroidery Market in Owensboro, Kentucky. That is my next upcoming hands-on, in-person Embrilliance event where you get to see all the bells and whistles right there. This is my Susan trick. Susan, you are forever, Sue is going to be forever known in my videos because she taught me this that I can actually pop in the link to, nope, that's the wrong one. Of course, Sue, it always helps if you did, Sue. It's not Sue's fault, it's Lisa's fault. Delete. Where's the one for Kentucky? There it is. Command C. Boom. Hey, Tiffany, how are you doing? Come on, B. Boom. Okay. I was able to comment with the link to the Everything Embroidery Market in Owensboro, Kentucky. I've been told that they have opened up a few more slots in my pre-day classes. So those are going to go fast. If you are in the Kentucky area or in the Indiana area, because I'm flying into Indiana and driving to Kentucky. So it can't be that far away. I'm in Colorado. It takes me 10 hours to get to Indiana, and then I still have to drive an hour to get to Kentucky. So anyone, if you're in that area, this is the last show that they're doing this year in person. We did one in South Carolina a couple months ago, and next we're going to be in Kentucky. So if you want to do a unique hybrid type home embroidery show and you're in the Eastern Coast, a few more weeks to get in. And I have the 2 hands-on classes. One is on Essentials and one is on Stitch Artist. And I popped the link in here and you can get more information there. I'm also still working on my hat. I just have the hat hanging in the back. I'm not showing anyone what my hat's going to look like. I'm going to do a live video from the show of everybody's hats. So it's going to be a secret as to what I'm working on. But that's coming up in the very first week of May. So I crossed off item number 3 for my list of what I wanted to talk about. The next item I wanted to say is the Applique Getaway. Now, I'm going to pop that link here. Now, I mentioned Applique Getaway, but the first thing is they are doing a podcast tomorrow morning. The 2 regular guys, they are a commercial type podcast. I don't know if you guys listen to podcasts, but I was on there a few weeks ago, or maybe it was a month ago already. Wow. I did one, and it was about how to the transformation, or how to go from being a hobby embroiderist to commercial embroidery. When do you make that leap? And so I have that recording is on my YouTube channel, linked in there. So I did one. Well, on Friday, Lindsay from Linny Penny Embroidery Designs and from Applique Getaway, she is going to be doing a podcast with the 2 regular guys. Now, Embrilliance sponsors the podcast. So, and Embrilliance also sponsors the Applique Getaway. Two wins right there. So I would tune in. I'm going to pop that link in as I was talking about it. Command C and put it over here. Command V and hit enter. There's the link to the podcast. So that is going on Friday morning. So you have to talk. She's going to talk all about you guys like to connect online. You like to ask questions and get them answered right then and there. And she runs the Applique Getaway. She also runs Linny Penny Embroidery. I love Linny Penny Embroidery. She just got the cutest designs, and every so often she has like this $10 bundle every month, or used to be every month. I haven't paid attention because my PayPal account says stop spending money. So it's been a while since I've spent. But anyway, she's doing a podcast on Friday with the 2 regular guys, and I popped their link into the feed here. Thank you, Sue, for giving me that little clue. And it's also linked on the Embrilliance page on Facebook. So you'll want to click there, just like you click that you're interested in coming to see me. If you click that you're interested in watching the podcast, when it goes live, you'll be noticed. You won't be noticed. You'll be notified that it's live. So if you're available, you can watch it, or you'll be able to click on it and watch it live when you're free. So you don't want to miss it. So Friday, 2 regular guys. It's going to be fun. Next item on the list is I still have spots open in Denver. That's my 3-day hands-on class. And, everyone kept saying, oh, come to Denver, come to the West. Come on, guys. We're filling up fine, but I just want to make sure that if a location doesn't sell out or doesn't do well, I can't go back, because Denver is an exception because it's local to me, but I still have to pay for everything ahead of time. So if you're in the area and you're looking for hands-on classes, there is a difference between taking a hands-on class and an online class, in that your question is answered instantaneously, kind of like this, what we're doing here. And everything that I teach in my classes is already on YouTube. Everything I show you here, it's already on YouTube, guys. Or in one of my blog posts, or in both, or it's already out there. I don't give any information, but it's the whole experience of this one-on-one contact here. So when I say something, you can say, oh, can you repeat that? Or explain it differently. It's that whole interaction that goes on. So just saying, I book my locations based upon where I get the most people that are saying to come and where I can find hotels that aren't going to cost me $4,000 a day to rent. I mean, you guys don't want to pay. I'm not worth that much for you guys. So we have to find things that are economical and available. So, I'm still working. I have feelers out for Southern California, for Washington State, for, Chicago area, and for the Buffalo, New York area. Now, I can't do all of those because I do have other things that I do with my life, and I don't travel all the time. So wherever I find a location that will work with us out, that's where we're going to go. Okay. So I see I'm getting a few people from Australia popping in, and I kind of told you, I hinted in the Brilliant Embrilliance group that I had an announcement to make. And the announcement is, in November, my husband and I are taking a vacation to Australia, and I will be working with Echidna Sewing Products. Let me get their Facebook page here, because they're the ones that are going to have all the information. Command V, enter. And we're going to see what we can work out. So I am going to be in Australia in November, but I'm on vacation. So in the past, when I've done events, it's just been me. And I did the road trip with Mr. Doug Walker and Gary Walker and the folks from Echidna. We drove from Melbourne down in the south all the way up the coast and did our events. Well, my husband has no desire to do that. I can't make him do that. So we're going on vacation. And while I'm there, Gary says he's going to work out some sort of arrangement so that I can teach some classes there. But I'm on vacation. So when you see him, make his announcement, and he's the one that's going to be doing it, I posted their link here with Echidna Sewing Products. They are the official Embrilliance distributor in Australia, so you'll want to work with them and go from there. Kathleen says, should have been the Caribbean. Yes, maybe next year. You never know where I might pop up. I'm kind of like a bad penny that way. But that was my exciting news. I was talking with Gary last night, and it's my night, your guys' morning, because I guess it's in the morning there, and worked out that he'll get the dates. So, and pretty much I'll tell you, since it's going to be a short thing because I'm on vacation, you'll want to make sure that it will be, you sign up, because they're probably going to sell out just because it's not like I'm going to be traveling just city to city. Put a post on my site asking where you should go and what you should see. We only have beautiful country. Yes, I love Australia. I mean, probably my best trip going to Australia was when I went with Echidna Sewing Products. We drove from Melbourne all the way up the coast to Sydney and Sun Coast, and all the way up to Townsville, and then we went to Brisbane. I mean, it was absolutely fabulous. So I enjoyed every bit of it. However, my husband doesn't think, he doesn't understand this embroidery thing. We're going on vacation. My husband's a photographer, so he plans on taking lots and lots of pictures there. So I can't wait. It's gonna be a grand time, and I get to have Moreton Bay bugs for Thanksgiving. That's what I'm excited about, because I don't do turkey. Not my good idea. Yes, it was a very long trip. And Jenny is enjoying this while having your morning coffee. Well, that's fabulous. I was talking to a friend of mine in Australia. We were chatting on Messenger, and I do Messenger on my phone. And she was watching the replay on her treadmill this morning. So she says, oh, you always make me laugh. So anyway. Was that exciting? So that's all the announcements I have here. So today we're going to be talking about lettering in Essentials. And one of the things that I love Essentials, and I wonder if we have anyone on here that just uses the Embrilliance Express program, because Express is absolutely fabulous. You're able to install a BX font. You can type with that BX font, and you can save to your format. You have all the sliders for adjusting the spacing between letters. You can change colors, but you can't merge designs or resize or do any of the fun stuff. So if you have Express, if that's why you tuned in just to see what some of the cool things you can do with Essentials are, you're going to be in for a treat, because everything I'm going to show today, you can't really do with Express. This is all part of the Essentials project. So I'm going to switch over so that you don't have to look at me all the time and see if we can get let's see. Whoops, you don't need to see that. This is the window. There we go. Why is this over here? I got a new window on my screen. Didn't need it there. All right. So here's my Embrilliance screen. Okay. And I have all the programs installed. Therefore, I have more buttons than you have. If you only have Essentials, you won't have all the buttons. If that's an issue and you want all the buttons I have, let me know. I can hook you up. And then your screen will look just like mine. But the only thing I'm going to talk about is the Essentials functions. And I will, if I show anything else, or if someone asks a question, I happen to answer it, and it involves a different program, I will tell you what that other program is. So there'll be no confusion here. Okay, so I'm only going to show Essentials stuff. So we have our hoop layout here. I'm going to just open a design that I've already have something created, because there's a few things, hold on one second. I need to show this. You saw the picture. Where am I? Why can't I do this here? Oh, because my mouse is on the wrong screen. When you have two computer screens. Here we go. All right. This was one of the first things I wanted to talk about. First of all, everyone, can you see this birth stat? My baby brother, if you look at the date information, he was the happy accident in our family, and he said he never got anything, and I had it the easiest because I was the eldest. You guys get to hear the story. So I made him his birth stats. Now, I was going to stitch them on a stuffed animal, and I had never done that before, and it was furry, so I needed to do a test sew. And when you do a test sew, you need to test on the fabric that you're going to stitch on. So I stitched this out with water-soluble stabilizer on top, and if you can sort of see, it's a little hard to see some of the details. So because I did this with Essentials and a BX font, I was able to make this adjustment. Can you see the difference in the two of them? I mean, the light is funny, and I have to angle it. There's a huge difference in the two of them. And the reason is because I made these letters fatter. So that's the first thing I want to show you, is how you do that with the Embrilliance Essentials software. So let me go back to this screen here, which is here. Put me down at the bottom. Put my minky things away. I'm going to open up a design here that just has, this one here. Open. Now, these are 3 lettering objects. Each one of these here is a BX font. These in particular are from Jolson's Designs. And sometimes people wonder, how come you have more than one size? Because Essentials does resize. Why do I need to install all the different sizes? Well, that's because when they digitize, when someone creates these lettering alphabets and they create a BX installation file, what happens is that they've added different types of underlay depending on the size. Now, I'm going to zoom in close so that we can actually see what we're looking at here. And I'm going to move to the top one, which is the smallest one. Now, because have our 3D turned on, you can't see diddly squat. Always hear the pretty satin stitches on top, zoomed in really close. So if I turn my 3D off, we can see underneath what's going to happen. Do you see underneath the stitches? This is my smallest size, and it only has a single line, center line running stitch going through the bottom. That's the underlay that when you stitch this out at this size, that's what holds your letters in place on the fabric so you don't get pulls and whatnot, because this is a small sized font. In his next size of font that he has, do you see how the underlay changes? It's not just a center line. kind of branches off a little bit, so it gives a running stitch on both sides. That's just, it's adding a little bit more support to the letter because this is his medium size. And then when you get to the bigger size, can you see in these wide areas that not only are there running stitches up and down, but there's also a ziggy-zaggy stitch going through it. That's why you have more than one size in your BX fonts, okay? Because they don't have the capability of saying, okay, if you shrink it, change the underlay, because it's a stitch, it's a design. So it can't add more, it can't subtract more. Now that's the difference between the built-in fonts of Embrilliance. Let me go and just click on my blank page, go to the letter A. I'm going to, we'll just use the block font just so that we're here on the screen. We're going to turn our 3D off. I'm going to zoom in close so we can see it. Under the Stitch tab here, where I have my fills, I also have the ability to turn and off and on my underlay depending on the size that I'm making my design. Now, this is a built-in font. This is something that was designed for Embrilliance software. BX fonts are just stitch files. They're basically embroidery designs. So if you wanted to spell happy birthday, before BX existed, you'd have to bring the H, the A, the P, the P, the Y, and then the birthday, all separately, all individual design files. A stitched, what we call an expanded BX, that's like what we get from the Itch to Stitch and Jolson's Designs and Lenny Penny Embroidery. All these websites that sell BX, they sell what we call expanded. They're stitch files. So I just want to explain why you can't change underlay on those. So when they give you 5 sizes, if you know that you're never going to use the 6-inch, you don't need to install the 6-inch. If you are only going to use the 1-inch, only install the 1-inch. But if you want a variety of sizes, you might need to install all of them. And hopefully that makes sense. And before I forget, I already forgot. I don't see any questions coming up. So you guys didn't sidetrack me. I sidetracked me. Hopefully this is making sense, guys. Making sense so far? Thumbs up, possibly? Maybe? No angry people today, so that's a good sign. Okay, next. I showed you the difference in the underlay that's there. Now let me show you how things can be adjusted. This font is from Lenny Penny. And it's her Madison font, and she has it in 2 sizes as well. Now, when you go to your 3D, you'll see that under her smallest size here, because of the digitizing she's done, and it's got the swirls and all these heavy satin stitches at this size, she has added her extra underlay so that when it stitches, you get a nice, she's done her test sews. This is a nice font. Everyone has a reason for digitizing the way that they do, and this stitches out very nicely. So looking at your underlay, this allows you to think about what future things you can do with your design. So this particular one, even though it has great underlay, when I showed designs making fatter, and I'm going to show it in the next one, how to actually make it fatter, you have to actually be smart about this. If I made this letter fatter, can you see that mess that would happen in these curly swirly things? This is why we're smarter than the computer. We have to actually look at what the font is that we're working with. Could I make this fatter? I wouldn't, because it's going to make a mess. It's too fat in there. However, her larger size, let me scroll down to this. Let me zoom out a little bit. And we're going to turn our 3D off so we can actually see what we're doing. Can you see that little lattice work underneath there? When you have your lettering object selected, where it says letters, you'll also see an option that says stitch. This was the same one I just changed the underlay on for the regular fonts. Do you see that there is a slider that says compensation? That compensation slider is what allows you to make your letters fatter. So watch my stitches on screen as I move this to the right. Do you see them actually getting fatter on the screen? And when I move it to the left, they get skinnier? That is the technical term for this. It's called compensation. And what it is typically used for is when you have a circle of stitches and you need to compensate it so that when it looks like an oval on your screen in software, when you stitch it out, it actually pulls the fabric and pulls the stitches in, and it becomes a circle. Because what you see on your screen isn't always what happens in this, what you see in the software isn't always what happens at the embroidery machine. We use, in this application, what we are doing is we are adding compensation to the letters, but we're making them fatter. And that is what allowed me to make my little letters here fatter so that they popped on my fabric. Now, Debbie asked what a BX font is. A BX, it is a font, but it's not a font. A BX installation file. We call it a font because we can use our lettering tool to type with it. It basically is a set of alphabet characters, embroidery designs, A.Pez, B.Pez, C.Pez. And when you purchase that collection from a digitizer, they have mapped them to the keyboard, so they assigned the keys on the keyboard, made their baseline so that they are going to stitch out as if you were handwriting them or writing them, printing them on lines of paper so that your J follows lower. They've mapped them to the keyboard, adjusted the baselines, and saved it as an installation file. Now, I just happen to have one here. Let me go see this. We're going to put this on our screen. Let me move this one this way. This one. That. Okay. You guys see this? From Designs by Juju. I don't know if you've seen her recent videos. She has a birth template, and I have a video to do for the Embrilliance blog on this and how to add lettering to her templates. But these fonts were purchased from her. And for example, it's a DBJJ typewriter BX. Now, when you purchase an alphabet embroidery file from a digitizer, they come in different formats. I personally want the BX format, so I have the BX file here, and it's zipped. Zipped is a suitcase. You don't send your underwear in through the conveyor belt at the airport, okay? You put it in a suitcase. Same thing with embroidery designs. You have to put them in a suitcase so that when they travel around the internet, they arrive in one piece. They're not just coming out one by one, okay? So, but zip file isn't a file format. It's a suitcase. So in order to get the stuff out of the suitcase, you have to open the suitcase. And I'm on a Mac. Now, Windows, you have to, usually what I tell people, it depends on your operating system. So go to Google and say, how do I extract or unzip files in Windows 10? And they give you excellent instructions on how to do that. Because in order to install them, you must unzip them. So I'm going to unzip them on my Mac. And to do that, I simply double click and it unzips them and creates a folder so that all of my BX files are here. Now, every digitizer that creates a BX file also creates a little PDF file and gives it to you that has step-by-step instructions on how to do what I'm going to show you. So you never have to worry about not knowing what to do because the instructions are right here. But very simply, I'm going to select by shift-clicking and selecting all of them. I'm going to go and drag them onto my Embrilliance page. And you can't see the plus sign, but I guess that's my the screen capture program here. Mine has a number 6. You guys, it looks like you're looking at just a circle with the arrow in it. When I release my mouse button, it's going to come up and it says the font DBJJ typewriter 1.5 inch has been installed. So I click OK. 1.25 inch has been installed. Click OK. 1 inch has been installed. It's going to go through each individual one and it installs them. When you are now ready to use them, let me open up my new page. Now, no comments from the peanut gallery because I'm going to go and use my lettering tool and create a lettering object. So I'm going to click on my big letter A. I'm going to go to my font list and I have to scroll down through a few hundred fonts. And what was the name of that font again? It was called Typewriter. So I have to scroll through, and it's a little slow going because I have a few fonts, and, oh, you see them all? Typewriter, inch and a half. Boom. There it is. And I can go up here and I can type in, hey, JPPY, BIRTHDAY, and basically it takes every single one of those letters and puts it on the screen so that I can say, oh, I really wanted that on 2 lines, so I'm going to hit the return key and click set. And there's my file. I can do whatever I need to do with these lettering. If I was going to stitch this on Minky, I did my test sew and it was going to be, I saw that it was sunk in. At this point, I come back, I go to my stitch tab, I go to my compensation, I go and pop it up and I can see it's making it a little bit fatter. Not as obvious as it was before, but that's this font. And there I am. Wasn't that fun? Wasn't that cool? Does that explain? How do you, okay, so Chris said, great explanation of the zip file. Juanita wants to know how you turn off the didn't catch what you called it before you can see just the stitches. Oh, to see just the stitches, you turn off your 3D. That's here on the top screen. So when you turn off 3D, that means you can actually look through your design and see that underletting. Tell Lisa, how many fonts do you have? Thanks, Diane. Diane is in my American Sewing Guild group. Okay. That's also another great place for you guys to get education, is to join your local neighborhood group for American Sewing Guild, because we had a meeting the other day at the local coffee shop where we talked about embroidery stuff. And I would say most of the people there had embroidery machines. So that's my tribe we're talking. And yes, I have over 7,600 something fonts installed on my computer. Not this computer, but a different computer that is my testing computer, because there is no limit to the number of BX fonts that you can install. As you notice, you can't find diddly because you have too many of them there, but you can. So that's what that is. Thanks, Diane. You let my secret out of the bag. Okay. So, Juanita, hopefully you saw to turn off the 3D, you click on the little button and it's just a toggle button. So it's on, it's off. And a lot of times when this is one of the things I do when I'm working with a digitizer or designs that maybe a free design from someone that I've never stitched out before. Before I even go to the machine, I'll open it up into software and just turn off my 3D so I can see what the stitching is underneath. That gives me a good idea if I'm going to have any compensation or any underlay stitching or blah, blah, blah. Okay, holy smokes. Diane says, all the information popped in at once. Does the size of the font name generally refer to height or width of the font? It's normally the height of the font. I think it's usually the height of the letter M, and everyone does things differently, naming. Mary wants all of Lisa's fonts. Oh, geez. She loves, and Chris likes I use different designers' fonts. It's good for their business. Oh, absolutely. And, there's very few fonts I don't like. I don't care for auto-digitized fonts, and that's a whole other class on how to tell which ones are auto-digitized. But when somebody has designs that stitch out nice, gosh darn it, I want to promote it, because there's so many new people, and sometimes you've never heard of someone before, and you're new to the embroidery business, and you want to, or not necessarily business, embroidery hobby. You bought your machine, and now you want to stitch out something. It's good to have recommendations from your tribe, and we're your tribe. So, there you go. Okay, I have a couple other things I want to talk about. Let me close my windows. I mentioned this in my other class, on one of the other lives. If you notice, I'm closing the tabs in my program. Don't save this. The reason I do that is because each one of those windows has to have 25 of the last steps you did saved to them. So if you have 14 of them open, it's saving the last 25 things you did in each one of them, and it's eating up your memory. So don't do that. So I just close them out. I'm going to open up a design now. And this is one from the Itch to Stitch. Now, I must say, if they have, I am addicted to Itch to Stitch Design Club. I'm probably one of the founding members. Every time that they came out with a new font, it was like in my shopping cart. I didn't even really have to put it there. I just, anyway. Okay. Well, this one's from the Itch to Stitch. And let me see what the font is here. The name of it is. This is their Curtsy. And this is just a regular one of their letters that they have. Curtsy alphabet. And this is their 3-inch one. Now, if you notice in my font list, I don't want to scroll up and down because I don't want my whole thing to look. If you notice, it has a 1 inch, 1.5, 2, 2.5, and 3. It doesn't go any bigger than 3 inches. So if you wanted to stitch it out at a larger size, you know, that 20% rule, that rule really came out 25 years ago when there didn't have stitch processors. When you resized a 1 inch design and you made it 20% bigger and it had, just for even number's sake, 1,000 stitches, and you made it 20% bigger, it still had 1,000 stitches. So if you made it 200% bigger, it still only had 1,000 stitches. So there was no stitch processor. So, depending on the software you're using, and the Essentials software has a fabulous stitch processor, I would easily stitch out this S here, which is my 3 inch S that has been resized 200% larger. I would stitch this out once I do a couple things to it. There's a couple of reasons why I wouldn't stitch it out this size, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. But I wanted to mention that the stitch processor of the Essentials program will, my picture's not in clear focus. Well, that must be a, what is it? What do you call it? Communication. Maybe we're getting bad connections or something. So I don't want to lose my train of thought because that happens too often with me. When you resize in Embrilliance, this is the original 3 inch font, and your number of stitches is shown here on the bottom. This 3 inch font has 2,600 stitches. This enlarged 200% one now has 4,500 stitches. So it does recalculate the stitches. It doesn't recalculate and put different types of underlay on it, but it does recalculate the stitches so the density is the same. Now just remember that you can watch these videos again. Once I finish this, it's on Facebook forever, but I've also, if any of you subscribe to the Lisa Sew Bubbles YouTube channel, the link is on my website, which is on the bottom of this page right here. My YouTube channel has a playlist called Live Videos. So once I finish this, I do process it and I put it up there and you get the whole thing. So you can watch it again. Pause, rewind. You can even slow it down. So if I talk too fast, you can slow it down and, okay. So don't be stressing. So I made this bigger. Now I said that I wouldn't stitch it out at this size as is. The reason is the width of these stitches. Too early here for wine. Well, it's not too early here for wine. The reason I know that these are too wide stitches is because, well, first of all, I've stitched this design at this size, and I know what happens when you get a wide satin stitch. Well, a few different things can happen. It depends on your machine model, the format you use. Option number 1 is that your machine has a maximum stitch length. So say your maximum stitch length is 10 millimeters, just for ease's sake. When it gets to a satin stitch that is bigger than 10 millimeters, it goes 10 millimeters, puts the needle down, gets up, goes over to the maximum length, and puts the needle down. If that's the end of it, then it keeps going. So you get this needle drop in the middle of your satin, and it looks like a dimple. It's a dent. It's not a good thing. So that's one thing that can happen at the embroidery machine. Second thing that can happen is that your format doesn't support long stitches. So you send it to the machine and you have holes and gaps and you're missing stitches. Yee. Third thing that can happen is that your machine thinks that those long stitches are really jump stitches. So what happens is the needle goes down. It says, oh, that's a jump stitch. So it trims. Needle comes up, relocates it, puts the needle down. Oh, it's too long, trims. And you get all these holes in your design and all these needle points because that's what the machine decided to do. So how did I know that these were too long without going to the machine and doing my test sew? I use my measurer. Now, first of all, you need to be in metric because in inches, you have to be 4 decimal points in inches in order to be accurate. That doesn't make any sense. No one's going to remember that. So machine embroideries, metric. Just put on your little metric hat. If you need a conversion, 25 millimeters is an inch. There's 4 quarters and $1. So you can sort of do the figuring out 100 pennies in $1. So 1 millimeter. It's, You got to work out the trick, right? Make notes, put sticky notes where you need them. Work in metric. That's beautiful that you can just switch over to metric really fast whenever you want to measure. Now, I need to move my head out of the way. Sorry, because information, how do I do that? Oops. And I need to move this guy out of the way. Put him over here. Just so I'll put him back later. So you guys need to pay attention to this information right down here. I'm going to click on my measuring tool. Can you see what happens? Watch what happens when I put my measuring tool. Let me do it on the screen here where I'm paying attention to. I'm putting my ruler on one side of my satin. Click hold. And you see that long dashy line thing? And look at the bottom. There's in the bottom it says LEN colon. And it changes as I move it in. That LEN is the length. So if I put that little ruler at the other side of my satin, the length of that stitch is about 15 millimeters wide. The machine, home machines definitely can't stitch a 15 millimeter stitch. So you're going to get something bad's going to happen. So that's one, this usually happens when you resize satin lettering. So once you're done measuring to see, okay, I don't want to measure anymore, make sure you go back to your select tool, because now you don't want to keep measuring stuff. You want to go back to your select tool, which is the black arrow here. Okay. Everyone despises metric. I used to despise metric until I got tired of working with 4 decimal points. Okay. So, now I know that the width of this sentence 15. While I have my BX selected, when I go to my stitch tab in Essentials, you'll see that there is now a new, or there's not a new, it's been there a while. There's a video on this on the Embrilliance YouTube channel, just in case you missed it. I also did a blog post on my website on this. So but I know, I'm pointing out things, so now you can go and look for them afterwards. The satin length. The default here says none, which basically says it's just going to stitch out whatever length. It's just, nothing's going to happen. The software's not doing anything. The maximum length, what's your length limit? Every machine is different. I figured out the first time 25 years ago, because my manual for my machine didn't have that information. It might have at one point, but I swear that the manual for my machine was first written in Japanese, translated into Greek, and then back into English, because there's no verbs in my manual. There's, punctuation was optional. Many of the machines will tell you, or you can do some research about your format, what your maximum trim, what your trim length is. Normally, what I do to set my machines, if I keep mine between 7 and 8 millimeters, that's a happy satin stitch length. If you happen to stitch design and it stitches, say an 8 millimeter satin, and it's still loopy for you, and you're wondering why is it so loose, you can try, that could be a tension adjustment. That could be something that you talk to your dealer about. But I found on mine, before I started pulling my hair out, if I just set my maximum stitch length here to 7.5 millimeters, my machine's happy as a clam. So it depends on the machine. So it's all different. So normally what I keep mine at is either 8, or I move it down to 7.5, and then I know that it's not going to do anything bad no matter what machine I use. Okay? I know, no one reads manuals. You should read manuals. The manuals these days are so well written. So well written. And when I get a new machine, because they come to live at my house for a while and then they leave, I have to read the manual. So if anyone says the manuals aren't well written, they're not reading the manual, because they're actually pretty good. And that's a whole other story. Don't want to get into that. All right. So my number for me is 7.5. It may be different for you. Commercial machines, you have different numbers. This is just, you have to figure out what your number is and read the manual, do test sews, trial and error, knock your socks off. Now, basically that limit number triggers whatever you choose in this pull down menu. Now I'm going to zoom in on the letters so that you can actually see, because someone said it was blurry and maybe we can see it just a little bit better. Can't see it's an S anymore, but I'm going to go and change it to a light anchor and pay attention to the stitches. And nothing happened. You know, I really hate hands-on classes. Oh, Lisa. Oh, because I changed it to 75. Well, that will slow me down. That was funny. I'm like, what? Did I break the software? No, let me go back to my light anchor again. Yeah, 7.6 millimeters. Oh, let's see if we can get it done. I'm trying to get it visible to you guys. It's really hard. I changed mine to 6 just so that you can actually see the difference. Hopefully you can actually see that there's like a blending stitch that's going on here. So this is what it was at none. When I changed it down to a light anchor, what is going on? Why is it but 61? Something glitchy is going on, and it was doing perfectly fine because I tried this all out before. I'm wondering if it's because I have 2 screens and I'm broadcasting. Yeah, that would make sense, maybe. Light anchor? None? Nope, not doing anything. Well, we're doing it that way. Let me just, the key thing is that hopefully on your screens, if yours starts doing what my crazy thing is doing here, then that's a tech support issue. But since it worked perfectly fine before I did the broadcast, I'm thinking that it has something to do with 2 monitors, broadcasting software, and blah, blah, blah. What happens with this is that instead of doing a satin long stitch all the way across like that, it takes that value and it says, I'm going to add a light anchoring stitch. So it kind of walks its way back as it does. Oh, Bubba came to join us here. As it does its satin. So we'll do a long satin and then kind of walk back and then another long satin. So it's kind of blended. The heavy anchor does more anchoring stitches. So you'll get a more sturdier look. The option that says length limit, which isn't working here either. There we go. That actually is what will happen at the machine. It has put a length limit in the middle saying that at 6 millimeters, I'm dropping the needle down in the middle. So that's as far as it's going to go. And sometimes what happens here, as you can see, there I can see what's happening at the bottom. On this side here. Do you see how it's kind of splitting and doing this weird stuff down here? I mean, this is all artistic-y type stuff. So I wouldn't say, oh, never use length limit. It may work perfectly fine and look really kind of awesome with the font that you're using. So there's just something that you can play with to see what's happening. And most of the time, this is what happens when this kind of gives you an idea of what would happen at your embroidery machine by choosing the length limit. And then split's just going to basically, normally it splits it right down the middle, but it's not doing that for me. So I don't know why it's not doing that. Boom. Stitch. Something's going funky because see, it went down to 64 millimeters. That's not a good, I don't know why it's changing that. So that's just something weird that's going on. Technical difficulties. Hopefully that just tells you that these things, computers are glitchy, and every time you add something new into the mix, such as I had to turn off my Firefox browser, I had to turn off my email, turned off all of my internet connections. Now, some people say that it is clear for them. Some are saying it's not clear. Hopefully the replay will be clearer. I don't know. But yes, you can see what's going to happen before you get to your machine. But most of the time, the option that I will choose on mine is a light anchoring stitch, and that will just allow me to, it still has the shine of a satin stitch, but it doesn't have the loops in it, if that makes sense. Okay, you want to know when to have remove hidden stitches on? That's Juanita's question. Okay. The way that remove hidden stitches works in in general let me go and start. Let me close this window out since it's not behaving. Don't save this. And yours is doing the same thing as mine. As far as bad things go, well, then we got to figure out that's a glippy thing. I don't know what's going on. We don't need to talk about that right now. Okay, Cindy says it's clear on hers. Great. Glad it's clear for some people. I think it's just the replay. I think that's what's happening. Let me go and Mr. Darcy. So that's an Itch to Stitch font. This is probably my most favorite font from theirs. It's to Stitch and it's Mr. Darcy. Elegant scroll. Looking forward to watching later. Excellent. Oh, we'll just try this guy here. ABC. And I'm going to change that and type into LISA and see what happens. Okay. When you have, the way Remove Hidden Stitches works regularly is that you have multiple designs. You've merged in your applique letter, you've added lettering on top of it, you've brought in a flower to put on someplace else, and your stuff is overlapping. So this was also, I talked about this in quite a few videos in the Embrilliance YouTube channel. You have multiple designs that are overlapping. The reason that we put the Remove Hidden Stitches in the lettering tool here is because if you happen to move your letters so that they are overlapping each other, it's kind of a weird looking thing, but we'll just make an example. Say you created some sort of artistic text and you wanted your letters to do this. There's no way Remove Hidden Stitches can do anything for this particular instance because this is only one design. You don't have multiple designs. Okay? We have one design. So when you check Remove Hidden Stitches on your Stitch tab, it will automatically, when you run your Sew Simulator on here, it should, yeah, it did, start removing some of the stitches that would be hidden. Do you see the back of the L, how there's some stitches that are missing there? That's where the I overlaps. Now it only takes off the stuff that is completely hidden from the other in the other letters. It's not gonna remove partial things because then you have gaps. But like where the S is overlapping the L, it removed those stitches because they're completely hidden by the S. So the only way to remove hidden stitches with a single lettering object is to go to your Stitch tab and make sure that that is set. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, Vivian changed her video quality and it's clear now. Excellent. And Chris just bought this font yesterday. Yes, I know. I show these. When you show things, you're like, oh, I gotta have that. So these are fonts that I use all the time. So they're here in my program. Okay. Okay, Chris didn't know that was there. Yes, it's when you're doing that, that only affects the lettering object itself that you're working on. It's great for when you have appliques and you want to, like I have there's a video on the Embrilliance Facebook page of a straw hat that has beach, and beach is done in applique letters and they overlap each other. And there's puffy foam in there, so that's a good way of removing that extra satin stitch around those stitches. So anyway. Okay, so those are the things I wanted to cover tonight. Remove Hidden Stitches wasn't really one of them, that I'm glad we did because it's on that Stitch tab. The compensation is how you make your letters fatter so that you can stitch on minky fabric. Normally when I show that, or I show the birth stat, especially when I show this one, people ask, can you use knockdown stitching, and would that have helped? Yes, that would have helped, but it probably would have added a few thousand stitches to this design because it has to stitch that whole flattening stitch first. It's an option. If it works for your fabric, for your project, that's fabulous. But for me, it was my first time stitching on one of those stuffed animals. And it wasn't one of the stuffed animals that you had the zipper butt. It was the one that you actually had to unpick and pull the stuffing out and leave a big pile of stuffing and then stitch it. So I didn't really want to, I wanted it off the machine as fast as possible. So I didn't want to use Remove Hidden Stitches. Didn't want to use knockdown stitches. When I do after hours with Lisa, I tend to talk faster. It's been a long day. I've been working hard all day in my other job, doing my work. So I kind of discombobulate some of the words I say, but for birth stats, I don't care to do knockdown stitching. That's just me. Okay. Pam wants to know about the super thin thread I talk for doing small fonts. I use, it's by Wonderfil. It's Wonderful, F-U-L, but Fil, F-I-L. Yes, I have some of their thread here. This is their rinse thread. No, this is the iron-on thread. They have some, I love Wonderfil thread. They're out of Alberta, Canada. They have some great specialty threads. The best thing I like about, they have a polyester thread. They have, that's 40 weight. And it's their regular machine embroidery thread. They have the matching colors in an 80 weight thread, which is great for small lettering. It's called Deco Fill. Or maybe it's Deco Bob. It's Deco something, but it's their 80 weight thread, and it's the same colors as their 40 weight thread. So if you're doing freestanding lace, I put my 80 weight thread in the bobbin and the 40 weight thread in the top, and it's identical top and bobbin, and it has a softer hand to it because you're not using 40 and 40. That thinner thread makes a big difference. They also sell a 100 weight thread, which is comparable to a silk thread, and that's called Invisifil. And that's what I use for when I'm doing the small lettering, like on the wedding handkerchiefs, or if you're doing small monograms on cuffs. It's Wonderfil. There's the ones I use. 60 weight is made by Madeira and Floriani, and everyone seems to have a 60 weight thread. I prefer the 80 weight because it's a little bit finer. And if you want a comparison, a picture, make sure you go to my website, my blog, which is sew-bubbles.com, and click on the blog link and search on small lettering. And you'll see an actual photograph taken of 40, the same design stitched in 40 weight and 80 weight thread, and it's a huge difference. So it's Wonderfil. Diane, everything you showed was with Essentials for VX fonts. So what does Alphatrix do that Essentials cannot do? Well, that's a different webinar. So, Alphatrix, the description is on the Embrilliance website, but it doesn't do what Essentials does. Alphatrix is for mapping your non-BX fonts, for changing the names of your BX fonts. It is, it does its own little job. It doesn't do the remove hidden stitches and things like that. It's for working with lettering. If that makes sense. Okay, Christine. Christine. Back in the saddle again. She always learns more, but there's nothing like attending one of my classes. Yes, you've done two, at the mansion and in Pennsylvania. So yes, we had a good time. It was lots of whining when we do after hours classes there in person. So any other questions? Something keeps getting bumped. I don't know what that is, but hopefully that works. It's getting close to 7 o'clock, guys. And Bubba already came in and gave me my warning notice that I need to kind of get going because dogs are upstairs on their own. And Bubba had to go to the vet today, so he's not very happy. Yes, Bubba's 15, or he's going to be 15 May 1st. So had to take him to the vet to get his checkup. Oh, you're welcome, Chris. I had a good time. I enjoy doing these. So let me, while we're doing that, while I'm talking, right in my nose. That's where I put this little link. That's where you can find me. It's my education link on my website. Next one is going to be on Monday. Mondays work really well for me. My husband happens to be teaching, and the dogs are usually better on Mondays, and I'll plan for it. So this Monday we're going to be doing Stitch Artist. So I will put put the little notification where you can register again on my website. If you don't have to watch it live, you can always watch the replay later. And as I said, once this is done, because Facebook, your news feed, we all know how well organized Facebook keeps things. I am uploading them to my YouTube channel, so you can find them there later. I'm glad you guys had a good time. I did too. And yes, I will be at the Applique Getaway. Now, just remember the Applique Getaway. I don't know if I put that, the link for the Applique Getaway on to the option here. As you guys probably, I don't know if you guys know, but I am an affiliate for Embrilliance. So when you guys purchase your software, if it's because I did something for you, I appreciate you clicking on my link on my website because it doesn't cost you anymore. Sometimes I have a sale. and you get an extra discount going on, but I make a small commission off of it. So that's kind of funds me for keeping these going. Applique Getaway is also the same way. So if you're thinking about going to the Applique Getaway, we have a couple options here. We have Command C, and I'm going to pop this in here for the link. Command V, boom. Here's my affiliate link for the Applique Getaway itself. So they have their VIP classes as well as their regular classes that go on at the Applique Getaway. That is taking place at the end of June. The day before the Applique Getaway, I have 2 hands-on classes, and they're almost sold out. I had someone cancel, and so for that one, she's going to make arrangements. But I think I have 6 spots in the Essentials and 10 spots in the Stitch Artist class. So yes, the Applique Getaway itself classes, they are listed on the Applique Getaway website itself. And when you register if you register as a VIP, you choose your VIP classes. I'm teaching one on how to create a key fob in like 15, it's less than 15 minutes, and that's from start to finish. So and you get all of my explanation in the middle. So we're doing a key fob class, and then we're doing, I forgot the other classes I do. They're all a lecture. So you get a lot more information. I put all the handout links on my website. So in case any of you guys are wondering, on my website, which is sew-bubbles.com, at the top there's a link that says shop. There's a link for my class notes. So you can download all of them and share them. You know, you read them, print them out. It's actually kind of, I don't realize how much class notes I gave when someone brought in their manual and all their class notes. And I was like, wow. That's there on my website. So you're more than welcome to go download them. Be sure to sign up for my newsletter. I don't send them out very often. I am horrible at that. There's not enough hours in the day for me to do everything that I want to do. So, and then the newsletter, unfortunately, is one of the things that gets put to the bottom. So I try to send out when I try to do 4 a year. That's my goal. It's kind of funny because I have friends that I get a newsletter from like every single week. I'm like, wow, how do you do that? Oh, not me. I'm not that well organized yet. And actually, one thing that's good about these lives is that I'm actually starting to clean up the sewing room a little bit. So as you notice, the pile that was on the bottom over there is now gone. All right, Cindy, hopefully you'll go to the Applique Getaway website and click on the schedule and you'll get the information. Those in Kentucky, make sure you sign up for the classes. It's going to be a great event. It's the largest one they've ever had with a number of vendors, number of classes, and they've opened up more spots for my hands-on. So make sure you get into it because I don't know when I'll be back to the East Coast. You never know. Not till next year. All right, guys, I am signing off. Going to go walk my dogs, finish my wine. It was great chatting with you. Thanks for interacting with me. I appreciate you, and thanks for spending time with me because if I know how my time is, I appreciate you guys taking some time and spending it with me. Thanks, and have a great night.